By the time this album comes out, I will find a way to wear orange. For today, this is just the best I can do, but we'll get there.
Ophelia?
She thinks I look like Elizabeth Taylor.
Opalite.
Father figure. Eldest daughter.
Ruin the friendship?
Actually, it's really romantic.
I'm putting together kind of a wish list.
What?
Canceled.
Exclamation point.
Honey!
She was a showgirl.
So thank you guys so much for the love and community and conversation on my previous 2 videos. As always, it was just so much fun to chat with you guys in the comments and like theorize and celebrate this new Taylor Swift era that is upon us, the life of a showgirl. So if it weren't obvious from the title, today I will be going track by track for the life of a showgirl and predicting what I think each song will be about. And obviously I would love to hear all of your thoughts and theories and predictions in the comments as well, because this is just one woman's mind. And something that I learn every album cycle and also when I'm playing Wordle is that naturally I'm an Australian, so there are American references that I don't necessarily get right away. So if there is anything in this track list that like maybe is just culturally something I'm not aware of, that's always fun to discover. Anyway, yeah, let me know. And I did just rewatch the Tortured Poets Department prediction theory video. Honestly, I feel like we nailed that. Compared to today, I feel way less confident in these guesses. By the way, if you guys want to see more of these videos from me, be sure to give this video a like. And if you aren't already, definitely hit the subscribe button down below. It's free and I think we have a lot of fun here, but also let me know in the comments what videos you would like me to make. I already have a lot planned, but I would love to hear from you guys what you want me to make for you. Before I dive into this track by track analysis, I'd love to talk a little bit just about the album overall and kind of what I envision this being. So I do think the nature of this album honestly reminds me of 1989, which I know is not a new thought, but in previous videos I know I've likened the Tortured Poets Department to Red. I think they are sister albums in a lot of ways, and that's a whole other conversation, but we could go there if we want to. But one element that I hadn't considered until kind of now is the critical reception to Red is very different to how much it is beloved by fans, and I think that is quite well mirrored with the Tortured Poets Department. I think these were both such vulnerable, deep, incredible albums about heartbreak and loss and coming out the other side of that. But you know, the Grammys and critics snubbed these albums, and we know how Taylor responded in the face of that reception, I guess, to Red.
It was universally agreed on that the songwriting was great, but it was also noted that it was a little bit multiple personality, which it was. We don't make music so we can like win a lot of awards, but you have to take your cues from somewhere if you're going to continue to evolve. You can say, maybe they're right. Maybe I did not make the record of my career. Maybe I need to fix the problem, which was that I have not been making sonically cohesive albums.
And I think that is what Taylor has done here again. I think, again, I say this as a Tortured Poets Department stan. If anything, I'm honestly a little bit sad that that era is already over because I just feel like I have so much more to say still about it. That's okay. I still have her and I will continue listening to her. But a lot of the critical reception of that album was that A, it was too long, you know, it needed to be cut down, they needed to trim the fat. B, that people were sick of her working with Jack Antonoff and Aaron Dessner. And C, that it was like lyrically bloated, I guess they would say, like wordy and maybe not like radio friendly. There was no Cruel Summer, anti-hero, shake it off blank space type song. So I think these are all pieces of criticism that Taylor has directly responded to in this album and we will see reflected on the rollout. I think we will get music videos. I think the writing will be sharp. I think the music will be, what's a better term for radio friendly? Like melodically addictive, I guess. And again, this is another reason why we are so lucky to be Taylor Swift fans because we get both. We get the Red and the 1989 and we have the Tortured Poets Department, but now we will also have the life of a showgirl. And you know, I've seen a lot of people online saying kind of thank God we're getting that folklore songwriting. Listen, Folklore is one of the best albums ever written, not just by Taylor, but by anyone. But I don't subscribe to this idea that that is the first or only time we saw her writing like that. Taylor's pen game has always been strong. It's kind of what she's known for. She was only 14 when she wrote You Come Away with a great little story of a mess of a dreamer with the nerve to adore you. I would argue some of my favorite songwriting exists on Speak Now. You made a rebel of a careless man's careful daughter. Shakespeare could never. I'm so sorry. And I also just don't subscribe to the idea that Taylor or artists in general need to be unhappy to create meaningful art. I know a lot of people find Taylor and Travis's relationship a little bit cringe and like that's fine. You're entitled to feel whatever you want, but she's dating her biggest fan, which is something she has always deserved. And I'm thrilled that this album will be proof that she can create incredible work whilst in a happy, healthy, stable relationship. I think my favorite sentiment or quote to come out of the New Heights podcast was depth without darkness. Taylor used this to describe how she views Travis, and I kind of think this might actually be a great description descriptor for the album. Granted, I haven't heard it yet, but that is just my prediction. And kind of going back to what I was saying before, I think 1989 is a perfect example of depth without darkness. There is so much meat on that album. There is so many kinds of love and relationships and emotions explored without Taylor needing to like sink to her rock bottom and experience paralyzing pain. And yet she still created Album of the Year. So I have no doubt that she can do it again. Now, just to kind of set the scene for what we know about this album so far, here are some of the words that Taylor has described it with: infectiously joyful, wild, effervescent, energetic, exuberant, electric, vibrant, exciting, upbeat, fun, and full of bangers. So that is just a bit of an idea of what we have in store. So obviously Taylor shared the timeline of her creating this album. It was while she was on the Eras tour, specifically the European leg.
It was something that I was working on while I was in Europe on the Eras tour.
So while you were on tour,
I was working. I would be on tour.
How on earth did she do this on the tour is still blowing my mind.
I just love it. I just love it a lot. I would be playing shows. I'd do like 3 shows in a row. I'd have 3 days off. I'd fly to Sweden, go back to the tour, and actually like working on this. I was physically exhausted at this point in the tour, but I was so mentally stimulated and so excited to be creating.
But obviously ideas can be formed prior to that. And one of the questions I have that I guess going into this album I'm intrigued to see is whether the process of re-recording 2 of her most formative and important albums, Debut and Reputation, will have had any impact here on this songwriting. We have her first album ever written and the last one for her to own, written as the result of worldwide cancellation, to put it lightly, and the horrible depth that can take a person to. Will that impact or be reflected on this album at all? Let me know what you think. I would also be surprised if there's not some kind of reflection about the Eras tour itself on this album. I'll get more into my specific guesses as we go through the tracks, but Taylor said on the New Heights podcast, this was the first time in her career she had ever kind of deigned to acknowledge the, pardon the pun, new heights that she had ascended to.
I never really let myself be like, I've made it. But the Eras tour, I was like, this is different. Like this is nothing like what I've ever experienced before. It was so much better than anything.
And literally while
before.
She's doing that, she's still creating the next thing.
So I personally would love to see something in the vein of Long Live. And finally, my other wondering is, will any like fictional literature or characters have inspired any songs here? You know, I was recently revisiting Reputation and was reminded about how much of that album was influenced by Taylor watching Game of Thrones.
Swift created a character. She based it on the public eye's perception of her and then used Game of Thrones to fill in the rest. She told Entertainment Weekly, these songs were half based what I was going through, but seeing them through a Game of Thrones filter. Look What You Made Me Do is, quote, literally Arya Stark's kill list. King of My Heart was influenced by the relationship between Khal Drogo and Daenerys Targaryen, even making the post-hook drums to evoke the sound of the Dothraki war drums. I Did Something Bad was inspired by the plot where Arya and Sansa Stark conspire to kill Littlefinger. Swift continued, my entire outlook on storytelling has been shaped by it. The ability to foreshadow stories, to meticulously craft cryptic storylines. She had to go to a fantasy world to find women who'd fought back and won, because reality offered no models for surviving character assassinations.
And I guess a final disclaimer is that I obviously have no idea what these songs will be about. This is just one person's perspective. But if you do have any theories or evidence to support or go against my theories, please let me know in the comments. I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say. But on that note, let's get into this track list. Opening side A of the album, we have The Fate of Ophelia. Now, I had not read Hamlet. I had to do some research over the weekend to kind of present my theories for you guys, but I have seen The Lion King, which Shakespeare watched and based his play on, so I understand the theme. The extent of my Shakespeare knowledge was the Zac Efron rendition of Romeo and Juliet.
We should go.
Timeliness means something in the world of theater, young lady. Troy Bolton.
Did my heart love till now? For I ne'er saw true beauty till this night.
Personally, I think we could really use like a 2000s teen retelling of the story of Ophelia, you know, in the same vein of like 10 Things I Hate About You and She's the Man. So if you didn't know, Ophelia is a character in Shakespeare's Hamlet. She is the daughter of Polonius and the love interest of Hamlet. Living in a time of misogyny, or I guess even more misogyny than we have now, she was quite controlled by her father, her brother, and just restraints of their society. She didn't have much agency over her life and ultimately was forced to choose between her father and her love interest, Hamlet.
Try to understand.
I'm trying.
I just wanted
Ophelia loved Hamlet against her father's wishes, but daddy I love him kind of vibes. And with time, Hamlet turned cruel towards Ophelia.
You made me believe so.
Well, you should not have believed me. I loved you not.
I was the more deceived.
Get thee to a nunnery.
So Ophelia held on to this hope that his feelings for her were real. Kind of a little bit, I can fix him, no really I can. Despite Hamlet's mistreatment of Ophelia, she was really caught in the middle, but ultimately chose her father's side. After the death of her father, at Hamlet's hand, Ophelia was overwhelmed with grief and descended into madness. A mad woman, you could say. Ultimately, at the end of Ophelia's story, she falls from a willow tree branch and drowns. Now, there has been speculation over the years as to whether this was intentional or not, but also I will note, Willow is also a track 1. I don't think there'll be a correlation there, but it's just fun to notice things. A common thread that I saw throughout the many depictions of Ophelia and Hamlet over the years was the theme of water being linked to Ophelia. That was kind of used as a theme or a symbolic representation of femininity and women. In Ophelia's case, she was malleable, formless, directed by others. And I didn't know this, but water is also seen as like the feminine element. So historically, Ophelia is basically depicted as two things, which is feminine and mad. And I'm sure if you're watching this video by now, you have seen this painting, this work of art. This is a very famous depiction of Ophelia by John Everett Millais. I really hope I'm saying that name correctly. This is Opalite all over again. This is kind of a side story, but I found it really interesting, so I hope you guys don't mind me telling you about it. The model for this painting was a teenage girl named Elizabeth Siddal, who was lying still in a bathtub to like pose for this portrait over a very, very long time. The bath had candles underneath to try and keep it warm, but eventually blew out and nobody really noticed or cared. So Elizabeth ended up being freezing cold in this bathtub. She eventually got quite sick and her father forced Millais to pay her medical bills. That honestly just sounds like a Tyra Banks America's Next Top Model challenge, like just enduring pain. I think she might have ultimately died quite young from a result of this too.
The point of all of this was obviously to draw the parallels between Taylor in the bathtub on our album cover and Ophelia's drowning in the water.
Now, as I mentioned in my previous video, Taylor made a note of referencing the number 47 twice, and since then, Taylor Nation also posted this. So obviously 47 is quite a deliberate number here, and one possible link could be that Ophelia's death happened in Act 4, Scene 7. That might be a reach. It honestly might just be that like the album is 47 minutes long, but again, maybe it's not coincidental. In the past, that's something that I might have just dismissed as reaching, but honestly, these days, I feel like nothing is off the table. I really think in the New Heights podcast, Taylor brought up the NYU speech and how many Easter eggs she hid in that. It was essentially just riddled with Easter eggs.
I was given an honorary doctorate from NYU and I made the commencement speech, and I put so many lyrical Easter eggs in that speech that when the Midnights album came out, after that, the fans were like, the whole speech was an Easter egg. I would sit in my room and write the songs.
Writing in my room, I play my songs.
We will breathe in, breathe through, breathe deep, and breathe out.
Breathe in, breathe through, breathe deep, breathe out.
Polishing it all up in the end.
I polish up real nice.
When we lose things, we gain things too.
Everything you lose is a step you take.
The scary news is you're on your own now. But the cool news is you're on your own now.
You're on your own, kid.
I think as a way of kind of reminding fans that, you know, look for clues here. There will be many present in that interview that we might not even understand until after we've heard the album. Now, themes of both madness and drowning have been present in Taylor's work before.
Magic, madness, heaven sent. This mad, mad love makes you feel so mad. And in the end, in Wonderland, we both went mad. Fading into madness. There goes the maddest woman this town has ever seen. Free of women with madness, the men in bad habit. And there's nothing like a mad woman. What a shame she went mad. When I was drowning, that's when I could finally breathe. By all accounts, she almost drowned when she was 6 in frigid water. I feel like I might sink and drown and die.
But I wonder if the title here, The Fate of Ophelia, is Taylor's way of saying that she's going to do something different. When Taylor was just a teenager, she wrote Love Story based on Romeo and Juliet. But what did she do when she didn't quite like the fate of those lovers? She changed the ending. So I would not be surprised if something very similar happens here. I think this could be an instance where Taylor is choosing to change that same fate. Ophelia's death was never really determined. It was reported to be an accidental drowning, but that ambiguity surrounding her death, coupled with the madness and loss of her father, has led many to question if it was in fact on purpose. As we know, Ophelia lacked agency in her life. She didn't have the power to determine her own path, and her decisions were dictated by the men in her world. So I think this song could be about Taylor not wanting the same for herself. Is she talking about changing the prophecy? Personally, I think this song will be our link to the Tortured Poets department. I have this kind of theory that every song has a link to the previous album and the upcoming album, and I think this might even pick up where we left off.
Sorry I didn't provide an example for this, but for example on Hits Different, which is essentially, you could deem it the closing track on Midnights, she says, "Have they come to take me away?" And then on Tortured Poets, we open it with, "I was supposed to be sent away, but they forgot to come and get me." So I would not be surprised if we get a similar link here to Tortured Poets.
I don't know if the album will be telling stories chronologically, but I do think this could fit quite well with the previous album. Any Shakespeare fans, please feel free to enlighten me below or share your theories, because you will have so much more to say. You know, just like last year when I said I didn't grow up reading Greek mythology and Percy Jackson books, I know there will be some of you out there that really know and love Ophelia's story, so I'm keen to hear from you. Other information I would love to hear from you guys below is, what do you think the sound of this album will be? And also, just like Tortured Poets, I will make a bingo sheet for release day, so let me know what themes or words I should put on there. Okay, next up we have track 2, Elizabeth Taylor. As a lot of you probably already know, Elizabeth Taylor was an actress in the classic Hollywood era, especially the 50s and 60s. She was a beautiful and incredibly talented woman, but regardless of how successful she was, how hard she worked, or how much her career took off, the scandal of her personal life always ended up the #1 topic of conversation.
Think of someone so famous that even their heartbreaks made headlines.
Sound familiar? People, and especially the media, heavily focused on her romances and love life, how many men she'd been linked with, despite her great lifelong charity and humanitarian work. For context, Elizabeth was married 8 times and divorced 7 times. I imagine the 7 husbands of Evelyn Hugo could have been loosely based on her life, and more so like the treatment or the world's response to her. One of the main things that I think will be a theme on this album is Elizabeth Taylor's violet eyes. She was known for her incredibly unique, I want to say iris, right? The pupil's the black part. Yeah, her seemingly violet irises. And we know Taylor has already kind of referenced this in the necklace that comes with a variant of the CD. Elizabeth Taylor starred as Cleopatra in Cleopatra in 1963, and I would not be surprised if this look was a visual nod to that. But of course, none of this is our first Elizabeth Taylor reference in Taylor's discography. Back on her 6th album, Reputation, we had this.
And he can be my jailer.
So this of course refers to the relationship between Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, who was one of her husbands. In fact, 2 of her husbands, they were married twice. Taylor also gave us a little hint to this in a video when she received a birthday present from Kelly Teller.
This is unreal, Kelly. Opal and blue topaz.
Happy birthday.
You really, I mean, this is like a present for Elizabeth Taylor, not me.
You're my Elizabeth Taylor.
Now, if you guys saw my Tortured Poets department tracklist prediction video, I talked about how I thought Who's Afraid of Little Old Me must be referencing Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. And who starred in that film? But Elizabeth Taylor. And I do still think that song title is likely a reference to that film, but I think this song might be a little bit more specific about Elizabeth and Elizabeth's life and how she was treated by the media. Some other clues in Taylor's discography that we can pull for this song are songs where we get other references to women and fame. So we have songs like Clara Bow, The Lucky One, The Last Great American Dynasty, maybe even, would we say, Starlight? Maybe the Kennedy fan fiction is a little bit different, but you guys probably know this. Some of my all-time favorite songs are when Taylor writes about fame and the experience of fame. I just think it's such an isolating experience and something that we can't even conceptualize or begin to understand what it would be like because we haven't experienced it. And obviously it is something that is so glamorized that to hear the true experience of it, I think is really interesting. So naturally, I have really enjoyed when Taylor writes about true historical figures like Clara Bow, Stevie Nicks, Phoenix, Rebecca Harkness. Now, also a weird thing that I don't think this is an Easter egg, but just kind of a fun coincidence, is that on Elizabeth Taylor's official website, there is merch you can buy, and one of the items is an orange sweatshirt, or crew neck, or whatever Americans call it. But this one in particular is called Showgirl. So I just thought that was funny, and I've kind of been tempted to buy it because, like I said, I own zero orange. So Elizabeth Taylor, sadly, is no longer with us, but recently her son commented on like Taylor making reference to his mum. So her son, Christopher Wilding, said he sees Swift as a rare positive role model for young girls, adding that he has always admired her philanthropy and courage to stand up for what she believes. Wilding says his mum shared similar qualities with Swift, and he's sure the two would have gotten along well if they'd ever had the opportunity to meet. Christopher has worked in the industry as well as a sound director on several classic films, said he is excited and intrigued to listen to it when the album comes out. Apologies for these lights, but yeah, I guess ultimately my prediction for this song is that it will have some similarities to The Last Great American Dynasty and The Lucky One, and be a reflection on Elizabeth's life, depiction in the media, and how that parallels Taylor's. Next up we have track 3, Opalite. So opal has two meanings here that I can connect to Taylor. Firstly, it is Travis's birthstone, something that Taylor made a clear reference to on the podcast.
It is also your birthday week.
We got Wyatt October 2nd, we got you October 5th, and then we got Mom October 9th. So this is a good month.
Yeah, I picked a good month.
It's going to be a good week.
All these Libras
10-3, 13.
The opal birthstones.
I'm picking up this numerology. There we go.
There we go.
Yep.
And side note, Travis's birthday also happens to be Marjorie's birthday. And it is also part of the jewelry that Taylor has said when she would be bullied at school and her mum would pick her up, they would go to TJ Maxx and look at all of the opal jewelry. However, opalite and opal are two different things. So opalite is the man-made version of opal, kind of in the same vein as we say alchemy was the man-made version of gold. And this could be similar to the alchemy, in fact, where Taylor just kind of preferred that terminology. It fit better for a song. I think opalite does sound quite beautiful as someone that had no prior knowledge of, you know, this variant. So it is often a man-made glass associated with new beginnings, emotional healing, and tranquility. It is also said to glow from within, which is interesting because Taylor called Travis a color enhancer.
When you take a picture on your phone and you put you push the enhance color button, that's like what you do to everyone's life.
And I've seen people say that when you hold opalite up to light, it turns orange, which... hello. And it is also apparently moonstone adjacent. So if you watch The Vampire Diaries, opalite would have been sitting in Damon's little soap dish on the counter. What's kind of crazy is that Taylor has worn a lot of opal and opalite things in the past like 18 months, which, you know, could just be a growing fondness for her boyfriend's birthstone. Also, I think definitely a fun Easter egg. Also, if I haven't mentioned this on here yet, the album comes out on National Plaid Day, which, you know, kind of finally gives us an explanation for this explosion of plaid that we saw in Taylor's wardrobe in the past year and a half. Just a reminder that she's always 13 steps ahead. If I had to make a prediction for this song, which I do because that's literally why we're all here, I think it will be about Travis, and I think it will kind of maybe actually be about opals, but opalite just sounds better. I think if anything, if this album is somewhat chronological, this could kind of represent new beginnings. Up next we have track 4, Father Figure. So what is a father figure? It is someone who is decidedly not a father, or not your father at least. You know, they are a father figure. They represent that in your life, even though that's not the role they technically fit. So Taylor has obviously called someone who was not Scott her father before in her discography, and that was in fact us, the fans. I am of course talking about But Daddy I Love Him. Now I don't think here Taylor is calling us father figure. I think personally this will be a play on kind of, we call her mother. I think this song is kind of about big dick energy, especially if we look at the corresponding photo from Taylor Nation's post, since we now know that the 12th photo with Sabrina Carpenter was in fact kind of confirming or hinting at their collaboration on track 12. The correlating photo for this song is this, you know, the man. So here I have to assume Taylor is positioning herself as this father figure. She is calling herself Daddy. And not for the first time, mind you.
Yes, I am Daddy.
I think this song has to be like, I am the music industry, like that kind of vibe. I think this will have similar themes or vibes as Reputation, kind of just like a fun, here I am, I'm that bitch kind of tone. And I just really hope it does George Michael proud. Okay, and then we have track 5, Eldest Daughter. I initially just did not even realize that this was track 5, and now, like, obviously of course it is. If you don't know, Taylor's track 5s, or like 5th song on an album, tend to be her more vulnerable, emotional, raw songs. A typical example would be All Too Well, Dear John, So Long London, Cold As You, and we do also have songs like All You Had to Do Was Stay, which is sonically more upbeat, but still conveys quite a vulnerable message. Our correlating photo here is Taylor at the piano, meaning I think we can expect a piano ballad. We did also get a moment on tour where Taylor was at this Evermore piano and played a bit of a melody that I personally couldn't recognize as anything we know.
So Folklore actually has a sister album that I'm very proud of.
Again, correct me if I'm wrong, if this is in fact something we do recognize, but in my mind, this could very much be, you know, the intro or a melody from Eldest Daughter. So in case you've never heard the term before, Eldest Daughter obviously refers to being the eldest daughter in a family, but more so speaks about the kinds of pressures that comes along with that and maybe how that role in your nuclear family impacts who you are as a person and the way you walk through the world. For example, maybe feeling greater pressure to succeed or achieve, to people please, to be a peacemaker, or even perhaps to like make sacrifices for the sake of the family. I know my girl Angelica knows that all too well.
My father has no son, so I'm the one who has to social glide for one. Cause I'm the oldest and the wittiest and the gossip in New York City is and city is.
And I think it's important to note here that pressure, that internalized pressure can be self-inflicted. You know, even if the family is not necessarily putting that on you, you can still feel that pressure all on your own. And Taylor did also open up about kind of the nature of her aging parents on the podcast. So this could be a reflection of the weight of feeling that, but I don't think that kind of, would we say preemptive grief, is a feeling exclusive to eldest daughters. I think that is a universal experience. I do think this title has to be more about looking down at maybe younger siblings, feeling protective of them. And when I say younger siblings, I mean, I think that can be symbolic in a way. And by that I mean, this could kind of be an expansion of Dear Reader. This could be Taylor looking at herself as a father figure, I guess, but a figurehead for those who come after her, those who look up to her, just kind of the position that she exists in. Whether that is for all of us, the fans, viewing her as an older sister, or even for, I don't want to say her peers, because we know her peers are like Michael Jackson and the Beatles, but you know, the newer girls in the music industry coming up following in her footsteps. This is a concept we obviously saw touched on in songs like Nothing New or Clara Bow. And I think that one line, "You look like Taylor Swift," and I mean that whole verse, in fact, told us so much, and yet it's something that I would like love for Taylor to expand on. So this could really be that song. I mean, I've talked in countless videos before about the impact that Taylor's work has, and even just her personality, her work ethic, her success, her songwriting, that has had on the music industry and therefore new artists. Pretty much all of these artists do in fact credit Taylor with that.
Who was Cohen's biggest inspiration? 63% Taylor. It's a correct answer.
I was raised by Taylor Swift. I feel like she was my mother.
What's going on? I would really, really die to meet Taylor Swift. I think I would simply evaporate. I am obsessed with her and she totally raised me.
Taylor Swift is like my biggest inspiration. I think her songwriting ability is literally unparalleled. I have never known an artist to be that well versed and eloquent, and like she does so many different things. I'm obsessed with her.
This is definitely the highlight of my senior year.
My incredibly talented, wonderful, genius opening act, Sabrina Carpenter.
Days drag on, stupid girl. I should've known that I'm not a princess. This ain't a fairy tale. I'm not the one who's walking, leader of the stairway.
Hello, I'm Maisie Peters and I'm obsessed with Taylor Swift.
You heard the rumors from Inez. You can't believe a word she says.
Absolutely incredible. Crushed it on this stage. I love her songwriting so much. I am, of course, talking about the amazing Maisie Peters.
I'm kind of busy, like, I've been telling tonight. No shit. Gave a warning. I gave so many signs. So many signs. If you leave me in the corner, I would have done anything you wanted. 'Cause I loved you. I swear I loved you till my dying day.
You never read up on it, shame could have learned from it.
Do you miss?
I
heard a girl not much older than me singing a song she had written about her own life, and the song was really good. Gradually, my songs started to suck less because instead of trying to sound interesting, I just started telling the truth. Taylor has always told the truth. I'm grateful to have grown up in a world with Taylor Swift in it. Or the world, Taylor's version.
Probably Taylor Swift. I feel like she was just the person that really made me fall in love with picking up a guitar and putting that to the music, and so she's how I really learned the four chords and the truth.
Taylor really changed everything for me early on. Love Me Like You Mean It, the first song, it wasn't even top 40 at country radio yet. She tweeted about the song and about my EP. She really put eyeballs on me and it changed everything. And then she kind of took me under her wing for a couple of years. Wow. And in an off-camera kind of way too, which I think there's a big difference of people that kind of parade people around and you're like, look at me, I'm doing something good. And then the people that are like, just come over, I'll make some dinner. Like, let's open a bottle of wine and ask me questions, you know? And she did it in that kind of way. And I'm really grateful for that.
As a young singer-songwriter, she's the one to look up to, you know? And she really, I feel like, was a trailblazer for the rest of us.
Even if you don't realize it, she's definitely influenced all of the music around you, and if you write songs yourself, she's definitely influenced you even if you don't know. She's a master at her craft.
I mean, even just think about artists that Taylor has brought out on tour with her to support her and to show them off to a newer audience. We have people like Sabrina Carpenter, Gracie Abrams, Benson Boone, which I still forget happened, or even in earlier days, people like Haim, Charlie XCX, Camila Cabello. These are all artists who benefited from Taylor helping them and using her position as a metaphorical older sister to kind of look out for them and help boost them up. So if I had to guess, I think Eldest Daughter could either be about the way she feels towards her fans or the way she feels towards other younger female artists coming up through the industry. And the fact that it's a track 5 makes me very scared and very excited, I guess. Yeah, I'm very intrigued to hear this one. Okay, and the last song on side A is track 6, Ruin the Friendship. Now, if there is one thing we know about a track 6, it is that it is a banger. Track 6 exists for the sole purpose of reviving us from the emotional devastation of a track 5. She's a banger. She's a bop. From White Horse to You Belong With Me. From All Too Well to 22, Dear John into Mean, or So Long London into But Daddy I Love Him. Like, these are bangers and bobs, and I think Ruin the Friendship will be no exception. This is kind of a song I have the clearest picture of in my head. There is just like only one explanation and theme that I see this to be, and that is the friends to lovers pipeline.
Did you ever tell Gina how you felt about her?
I dropped plenty of hints, but no, I didn't want to ruin the friendship.
We've never slept together. It's what ruins friendships. I'd hate to ruin this friendship with sex.
Oh, I am willing to take that risk.
But there are so many songs with this theme that I just love. Obviously, I mentioned the Demi Lovato song.
I'm thinking we should cross the line. Let's ruin the friendship.
And then there's this one that I have singing in my head, but I don't know who sings it.
I wanna ruin our friendship. We should be lovers instead.
But my personal favorite is actually, this is so random, but it's by Jason Derulo. Nothing gets me more hyped than this song.
Tonight we'll just get drunk, disturb the peace. And I know we ain't friends anymore. If we walk down this road, we'll be lovers for sure.
And I think it just captures the feeling of like a friend that you've known for a while and you both kind of feel like, oh, do we want to cross the line tonight? It's just a straight bob. And I think that will be exactly what this song is. I think if it had a tagline, it is, I want to ruin the friendship, let's be lovers instead. I guess there's a chance that this could date back to like a previous relationship, but I personally don't think that we'll be seeing any signs of, you know, a long list of ex-lovers on this album. I think if it weren't painfully obvious from everything Taylor said in the podcast, like this is kind of a more current depiction of where she's at, where she was at last year across Europe. I think the timeline is pretty clear cut. So to me, the connection in that name is that the relationship she is currently in began with what kind of bracelet? Friendship. So while we could argue that maybe they weren't necessarily friends for that long, although who will we to say? We don't know these people. I think the symbolism is definitely there. Just the fact that you're on your own, kid, created the friendship bracelet like world, which then caused Travis to make her a friendship bracelet, and then that song became part of the Eras tour, and then that caused Travis to go to the Eras tour with a friendship bracelet with his number on it, and eventually they ended up dating, and now he has an album about him. Like, I thought I was good at manifesting. This man knows how to do it. To me, there's just no other option for what Ruin the Friendship could be about, and I already know I'm gonna love this song. And now we are up to side B. We begin with track 7, Actually Romantic. In my head, I think this will be the So High School of the album. Am I basing that off the title? Yes. What else can I base anything off right now? That's all I have to go by. I think this will be where we see the it's rapturous, it's frightening, it's beautiful, it's actually romantic. Do I have a concept for what that means? No. But am I excited to find out? Yes. Now that I think about it, this could also be about the life of a showgirl in general and kind of like what that experience is like, because those words like it's rapturous, it's frightening, it's beautiful, it's actually romantic. It's rapturous doesn't really apply to a relationship. So maybe it's more about fame and touring and the gnarly, gritty lifestyle that she's had to lead, and how when you think about it, it's actually romantic. Something that I haven't actually mentioned yet is that on the New Heights podcast, behind Taylor was a book that said 90s music. And again, obviously this could be just a book that they like, but I think that bookshelf was quite curated, maybe even more so than we realized just yet. And I think, again, it'll take hearing the album to go back and fully appreciate everything. But if that is any indication of the sound of this album, and we have kind of a 90s sound, I'm done for. Obviously, we know Max Martin is kind of famous for that 90s, early 2000s like pop sound. But by this point, we already did know that Max was a main collaborator on this album. So I don't know if that's kind of any further information, but I do hope this album has some 90s sounds. And I think that's where my So High School connection comes in, because to me, that is just like a perfect 90s pop rock kind of song. I feel like some people would kill me for saying that, but to me, that's how it sounds. I guess Actually Romantic is the one that is the biggest question mark in my head. It's an I Heart question mark. If you know, you know. So let me know in the comments what you think about this song. Track 8 is Wish List. Obviously, we can't discuss this song without acknowledging that Taylor kind of referenced this title in the interview. She said that Travis was kind of everything on her wish list, and she said her discography had kind of acted as, you know, a wish list or a guide on how you get the girl that he then followed.
This is sort of what I've been writing songs about wanting to happen to me since I was a teenager.
Yeah. And I was sitting there at the Eras tour listening to every single one of those songs like I know what she wants me to do.
Yeah.
I feel that. That's
exactly what she wants me to do.
She's like, this is just her wish list of like,
meet me.
So with that context in mind, I wonder if wish list will be kind of everything that money can't buy, and the dollar signs are sort of a little funny twist on that. Obviously, we've all heard the prophecy, don't want money, just someone who wants my company. Is this the other side of that? Is this the other side of the door? Is this the result of the prophecy being changed? Now, the other option is obviously this could be her 7 Rings by Ariana Grande, which kind of is a song about I can buy and have anything I want. I'm sure there are other songs like that, but this is just the first one that comes to mind for me. The only reason I don't think that's what it will be is kind of what Taylor sang about in The Man.
What's it like to brag about raking in dollars and getting bitches and models? If I was out flashing my dollars, I'd be a bitch, not a bother.
Obviously, we hear her kind of lamenting the fact that women are chastised for bragging or celebrating their success and wealth in the way that men are able to do. This could also obviously be about Taylor being able to finally purchase her masters and own her work.
It's always been a huge thing for me. Like since I was a teenager, I've been actively saving up money to buy my music back and to ever own it in the first place, because it's usually the label that owns it. I've always wanted this to happen.
Because that is arguably the thing that was at the top of her wish list since she was a teenager. But I just don't think timeline-wise we will catch up to that on this album. The announcement came at, the very end of May. And I think those photos were only taken in March of this year. Now, if Taylor said this album was made whilst on tour, whilst in Europe, I'm more inclined to think that we won't hear a song about the masters purchasing yet. I think TS13 definitely will, but I'm more inclined honestly to believe that this was written and finished being written kind of whilst on the Eras tour. I think, I hope since then she's had more time to relax and, spend that time with Travis, but I think whilst she was on tour and had those down days in between, that's when she really locked in and kind of wrote this and got this done. To me, that's kind of where I'm at with timeline assumptions. I could be wrong. There's a first for everything. Now, the correlating Taylor Nation photo for this track is Taylor at her piano, so maybe it is another slow piano ballad. Again, I could be grasping at straws, and these photos could just be chosen to have maximum diversity of pictures of Taylor in orange outfits, but since the Sabrina photo was accurate, I'm choosing to believe that the rest are accurate as well. Okay, and then we have track 9, Wood. Guys, there are so many different directions this song could go in that I honestly have no idea what to put money on as my prediction. The one thing I know for sure is that track 9s are always a banger. Just look at the evidence. We're in very good company here. Now, to me, the most glaring example or option of what this song could be is, how do I put this delicately? A sequel to Dress. So, a false god 2.0, if you will, in the sense that basically using the word would as a euphemism, in the same way that Katy Perry's Peacock did. I don't really know how I could elaborate that on here and not get the video demonetized, but you know what I mean. So that's kind of my main running theory at this point. But if that's wrong, let's discuss some other options. So here are kind of all the other meanings or ideas I've written down for what wood could be referencing. I have knocking on wood. So like not wanting to jinx something that might feel good or feel right. And maybe even feeling like this feels too safe and too happy and like I don't want to lose this, like knocking on wood. I don't know, like I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. Okay, then I also thought about like creating an arrow from wood, since a bow and arrow is something that both Travis and Taylor have referenced in their own work, independent of knowing each other. That could be a cute little reference. But then I was like, I think arrows are actually metal, not wood. So I don't know. Obviously, wood could also be slang for Hollywood. You know, the life of a showgirl, but I think that's a bit of a reach, like most of the options on this list here. Connor Wood. I just love him. So I think, you know, a song dedicated to Connor would be really fun. Then we also have Natalie Wood. She was an American actress beginning work at the age of 4, co-starring in Miracle on 34th Street when she was just 8. She went on to be in Rebel Without a Cause with James Dean, Hello Style, as well as West Side Story, The Great Race, and of course, Gypsy. So some themes that definitely tie into Taylor's other work and also this album. Then there is Woodvale, the Lost Album. This is kind of, if anyone doesn't know, this was an alternative title for Evermore that ended up being scrapped. Allegedly, there are Woodvale truthers out there, so maybe this will be your comeuppance. I also thought of how anniversary gifts have themes. There's like paper for year 1, but I looked it up and wood is like year 5. So this does not align for Taylor and Travis. I'm scratching that off the list. Then we have Pinocchio. There was a little Pinocchio figurine on the shelf behind Taylor and Travis in the podcast. Obviously, he is made of wood. This could be a reference to that. But given my earliest main theory about what this song could be, I don't want to discuss growing and the story of Pinocchio, so I'll leave it at that. And then finally, I had the Evermore microphone. On the Eras tour, this was named Wood. I don't think that this will be a song about that, but I do think that could have been an Easter egg or a hint to this. I think this will be the song that on release day I'm most curious to hear. So I'm already blushing now and I haven't even heard it. Let me know your theories below. Okay, track 10, we have Cancelled in all caps with an exclamation point.
Exclamation point!
Now this is obviously about Tana Mojo and Brooke Schofield. I've seen a lot of theories online and had a lot of you guys message me on Instagram about this, saying that you think it'll be about the cancelled Eras tour shows in Vienna. I just personally don't think that this is the case. Obviously, I could be completely wrong, but the nature of what we know about this song so far, to me, doesn't really fit that. And I don't think that that's even something Taylor would sing about. It's such an incredibly sensitive subject and like involves human safety. Personally, I just don't think that's what this song will be. The fact that Travis called this a banger.
Track 10, Cancelled, but it's in all caps with an exclamation point at the end.
That's a banger.
I don't see how that could correlate at all. Taylor also referred to Travis as a human exclamation point.
Travis is like, he's just a vibe booster in everyone's life that he's in. He's like a human exclamation point. So I use so many more exclamation points.
So I just do wonder if this song is in any way connected to him. And again, all love to Vienna Swifties. I know some of you might be watching this. I have genuinely so much love in my heart for you, and I can't begin to imagine what it felt like to go through that threat and to be safe but also probably feel a great sense of loss. So yeah, I just again really want to like extend my love and most of all gratitude that you guys are okay and safe as a result of those shows being cancelled. But I don't think that's what this song will be about. Now, something worth noting is the spelling of this. I actually didn't realize there was any other way to spell cancel until seeing Americans react to this, but there is in fact 2 spellings of cancelled, similarly to how we and English people and most of the English-speaking world uses OU in words. We also use double L, whereas Americans use just O or one L. And initially, I didn't think there was too much validity to this. I didn't give it that much weight until I realized Taylor has actually used the American spelling of cancelled with just one L in the past.
Get in the car and then cancel my plans.
Just when I was editing this, the website I used for these song titles tried to Americanize me. So this is all the proof we need. Do I think this will have anything to do with British men? Not really, but I just thought that was worth paying attention to. And like I mentioned earlier, I wonder if any reflections of the Reputation era and maybe re-recording those vault tracks, I don't think we know if she has yet, but if that could have influenced this song at all. I guess in a way, this could almost be a sequel to But Daddy I Love Him, you know, being cancelled in the public's eye. And we saw it once with that like open letter that some fans wrote to Taylor during the tour. And then we saw it again as Taylor was being a supportive partner at, you know, at Travis's games. People always have something to say about her and how what she's doing with her personal life is wrong. So this could be about that. The one thing I really love about this song is that now when people Google search Taylor Swift cancelled, this song is what will come up rather than anything from that very upsetting and depressing era of global cancellation. Just like what she did with the song Slut. When you search Taylor Swift Slut, all that comes up is the song. I think she's taking a page out of Walt Disney's book with creating Disney Frozen or Disney on Ice so that when people search these things, they don't get the evidence of Walt Disney being frozen on ice. Think about it, it makes sense. Now, the Taylor Nation photo in the set for this song was Taylor looking out at the crowd with love, appreciation, maybe awe. So I wonder if this song could even be about her relationship with the fans or like how this tour made her feel. Obviously, it's parallel from a spelling or grammar or stylization perspective is me. So color me intrigued. Our penultimate song is track 11, Honey. Now, I have some insider knowledge that this is in fact a cover of Honey Honey from Mamma Mia by the band ABBA. Honestly, I wish. The first thing my mind went to here is Sweet Like Honey from Karma. And I wonder if it was kind of like how life is like honey, life feels great, it is sweet. And we should note that Karma is also track 11, like this song. So I wonder if there's any parallels there. It could almost be a song about, similar to Karma, about how like I don't need to stoop to anyone else's level because life is like honey, everything is good. There's also that phrase of like you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Is that right? Kind of being like you'll be benefited more in life by being kind and sweet than bitter. And I think it's fair to say that that is pretty much how Taylor Swift has dealt with people that wronged her, in that she does nothing at all and we get to watch their downfall completely of their own accord. Or on the flip side to that, maybe this could be about the pressure that women feel to kind of rise above, to take the high road, especially Taylor really. When you think about how many people in the industry that Taylor has praised have like spoken badly about her and she kind of never responds, never says anything about them, could be something there too. Obviously it's also just a term of endearment for a partner, like I've loved you 3 summers now, honey. My mind did also go to the unreleased song Honey Baby, which then also makes me think of the Harry Styles song Baby Honey. 2 things I just love a lot. I also thought about how honey never expires, right? Like it never goes off. I think that's true. Let me fact check that. Does honey expire? Honey does not expire in the sense of spoiling or becoming unsafe to eat even after a very long time. Okay, so I was thinking about the use of the word expires on the countdown on her website. It's a very deliberate choice rather than to be like countdown ends or, you know, we're getting blank. It's like expires. I don't think she'd used the term expired before. So the fact that honey is something that never expires and kind of never loses its life, its shelf life is eternal, that could be a really good metaphor for love and for like a relationship in your life. Just kind of saying like, it's eternal, it's everlasting. Obviously, Travis also did get covered in honey for his scene in Happy Gilmore 2. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen that one scene. Take a shot every time I say scene. And Taylor did use the honey pot emoji to like help promote it, but I don't think this will be related. Although I did choose to use what was once a honey pot for my iced coffee today. So I hope you guys appreciate that. Let me just give you a glimpse at her. How cute. And finally we have track 12, The Life of a Showgirl, featuring Sabrina Carpenter. I don't think that has like fully sunken in for me yet because I saw it first as like a theory. I don't think that's fully hit me yet. It doesn't feel real and I don't know if it will until I hear it. I really hope we get a music video for this out of all of the songs on here. And I think also out of all the songs on here, I have no idea what to expect. I mean, if they wrote it together, which I'm assuming they did, probably whilst on tour, which makes me think since Sabrina opened for like my leg, did she open for the European leg too? I need to Google that. Okay, no, she didn't. She only opened for Taylor during Australian, Latin American, and Singapore legs. So I'm gonna theorize that maybe this song could have been written during our portion of the Eras tour, which is very exciting. So yes, what I was saying was if this was a co-write, if they got together to write this song, I think it'll be very witty and tongue-in-cheek, kind of like all of Sabrina's at least more recent songs are. You know, I would love something for them similar to Sabrina's 15 Minutes, kind of a commentary on fame, some innuendos, some funny lyrics, some depth without darkness, you could say. And yeah, I guess just their different perspectives, because obviously they are a decade apart in age. They have obviously both been in this industry for over a decade, but have vastly different experiences. I was just saying to some friends the other night that I think Sabrina has had one of the most seamless transitions from Disney Channel to pop megastar. Arguably, she is singing about much raunchier and descriptive things than Miley ever was.
Turn out dictors, don't call me Medusa. Choking on a need Hamlet maneuver. Water ain't the only thing I swallow. Perhaps I am a dick aficionado. Wind is slowly blowing when I swallow. I'm talking as a snowdrop. D-I-C-K, I am good at spelling. Tastes so good I need a second helping. Made his knees so weak he had to spread mine.
And yet she's not copying half the flack that Miley did. Granted, yes, she is still getting a lot of backlash, but like the Miley stuff was a different beast. And I think part of what makes that palatable is A, Sabrina's image and the way she physically presents herself, but B, the fact that it's innuendos and it's like subtle and it has double meanings. I think that's something she does really well. So I would love to see her and Taylor do that together. Now, like I said in my other video, we had a nod to like put some clothes on or take some clothes off, but I'm starting to think that that might be more to do with Sabrina's album than Taylor's. We will have to wait and see. I'm very excited to hear Man's Best Friend coming out in like mere days now. But yeah, I can't believe I have so little to say about this song besides I really want a music video. It's gonna take everything in me to get up each day. To not skip to the last track on this album and just hear the Tabrina collab, because what do you mean I'm getting my two like favorite artists on one song together? That is not only everything I could ask for, it is so much more. I would never deign to ask for something this special. So I guess it might be the song I'm most curious about overall and would love to hear from you guys below your predictions for the life of a showgirl. Like Taylor said, this is focusing more on the life part than the showgirl part, so less of anything on stage or performance based, but rather behind the scenes after the show ends. Oh my god, I'm just so excited. If the looks that we've seen from these two are anything to go by, we're in for a treat. Well, that is all of the songs that we have to discuss today. Don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. It just helps my channel out so much. I obviously don't have a Patreon or anything at this point, so anytime you guys give the video a like or share it with a friend, it just really helps me out. There is genuinely nothing else I would rather do on this planet than talk to you about Taylor Swift's music, so thank you. Well, on that note, I better go, but I love you all so much and I will see you next time. Bye!
Is this what it feels like to grow up?